Who have questions tonight or comments, when you're recognized, please speak up so everybody can hear you. I do want to note that Ron Weeks and Anita Weeks, out of the graciousness of their hearts, video some of these board meetings. So they're kind to do that. So just remember, if you need an alibi, you're on video. Okay? There are a number of councilmen present here tonight, and I'd like to introduce them. And when you're introduced, if you'll stand so people can remember you as you were at the beginning of your term. In Ward 1, there's Wayne Gray. Anthony Marshall is not here yet, but he said he would be here. He's the new councilman in Ward 2. New councilman in Ward 3 is Robert, but he goes by Mike Nail. In Ward 4 is Jamie Creel. He's not related to Jerry Creel, but he's referred to as the real Creel. We have David Shoemaker in Ward 7. And also attending this evening is Dan Cuevas, who's the supervisor in District 1 for Harrison County. And Dan, I'm not sure where the dividing line is, Biloxi, between District 1 and District 5. I know it doesn't make any difference to you. You help people who need help, but primarily your district, District 1, is in East Biloxi. I don't know how far west.
To Beauvoir.
To Beauvoir Road, okay. That being said, we'll go ahead and begin. Mayor Gilich. I want you to go ahead and say something. But we won't discuss that here. I know you have some opening comments and also if you comment on the budget.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here with me. All right. Well, good. It's great to be here. And like I said, during budget time, it's magic time, right? And this is I think this is our 10th time for me to go through some of the juggling of, say, it's hard to juggle bowling balls, but it can be done, right? But that's the exercise that we're in the middle of. We find ourselves in, as always, especially over the last number of years with inflation and some of these things that happen, try to make as best we can, revenues and expenses kind of equal out. But also over the years, we've actually, we're the only city in the state with a AA minus S&P rating. So our practices are using, being creative when we have opportunities to refinance, and I think you see some of that in your, if you look at your water bill and see CUA debt reduction is a little credit line there. We've done some of those things. We're going to be looking at every opportunity to to reduce our expenses, increase our revenues, and just make the assets that we have add to the business-like operation of the city. We're we expect, I think, tomorrow to look at a budget that on surface may cause some concern, but I have my hands are not shaking on this thing. We've been through this about my 10th time. Again, what do you do when you prepare a budget? Well, right now we're trying to look at 15 months down the road. And that's always a guess. Budget is a guess on what we need to handle as far as expenses. I mean, bottom line, I think after the last number of workshops and possible millage increases, I think that we had mentioned that cost. I know I talk fast and maybe they didn't understand exactly what I was trying to say, but in saying 3 mil increase would generate about $2 million more revenue, and that would help close this gap between revenues and expenses. But again, it was decided not to go down that path. So we've done some number crunching, and I think we have a budget that uses reduce expenses, maximizes the revenues we have, as well as use some of the accrued fund balance to make this thing work. Again, a budget is a guess. And I guess right now we're looking at what we're trying to guess is what we're going to wind up with September 30th, 2026. So that's always a challenge. I had a problem looking next week if I try to budget what's going to happen in my house. But anyway, this is again an exercise that I think we do it every year, and we try to do our best, and I think we've been successful. Our road has been pretty good considering the things we went through. Walt is going to be talking about a $344 million Katrina recovery project 20 years down the road, and we have all but 2 up. And again, their challenges, they came from budget. Walt, I think we were chasing the last 100 or so million to finish that. We've been in DC a number of times to ask FEMA to do the things that we were expected to do or to get as far as reimbursement, as well as Hurricane Zeta. We lost the most iconic pier on the coast. That was 1848. They had a pier at the lighthouse since then. One little interesting sidebar, and again, we're in DC trying to fight with FEMA. FEMA has a great reputation now across the country, right? It's a joke, okay, it's a joke. But anyway, the exercise, what was exciting, and again, this will be the 3rd time I've rebuilt this pier, or our administration tried to rebuild this pier. Zeta was in 2020. We had a number of repetitive damage to that pier. Zeta was the first opportunity that we were given to say, we'll give you some mitigation. We'll give you another amount equal to what it would if you built it back as it was, right? That it wouldn't be 800 feet long. We did what we were supposed to do. Again, it was called an opinion of probable cost, a certified engineering opinion of what it would cost to build it as it was. All right. $1.2 million. In my arithmetic, I'm saying 1.2 million plus 1.2 million. I get 2.4 from FEMA. We added on 2 million. We got 4 million for some $4.2 million pier made of concrete pounds, flow-through decking, all those things, as well as a 320-foot breakwater from the shore out to protect not only the pier but also roads and beach roads. So I thought, man, we're in good shape. $4.2 million, so we not had to touch that for another 100 years. Well, as it was, our region 4, FEMA directed, about 4 different or 5 different, how many regions? Well, 5?
There's across the country, there's 10 or 11 including Hawaii.
Well, we're in region 4, and they're a little bit different in anyway. They whittled that $1.2 million down to 555,000. So we can't make up that, the situation that we're not going to put up 3-point-something million, and when we should be only putting up 2 million. That's the dilemma we see, and as these things appear, we try to do some things about it. But that's an ongoing battle, and it's a real battle. And who knows, what will happen in this year. Hopefully we're not going to put it or something, but it's always on our mind, and like the infrastructure. This has been since day one. When I became mayor in 2015, we had 55 miles of streets torn up. It's called the North Contract, up north of the railroad tracks, and it has been day by day since I became mayor. We made some changes as the water worked the south of the railroad tracks. We wouldn't do everything at one time. We wouldn't tear everything up and get to it when you can. So we've broken it up into different sections. So you don't go from one to the other unless you're 75%, finished with what you're doing. But those are challenges that a lot of people don't understand how it works. Well, the contractor has a giant spreadsheet of so many feet of pipe, so many tons of asphalt, so many tons of concrete. They get paid based on the work that they do. We pay them, okay? Then we submit the cancel check. We got to get the cancel check from them. So the process is every month a vendor gets their invoices paid. Then we submit that to MEMA. MEMA submits that to FEMA. FEMA blesses it or traps it or whatever, and then they submit it back to MEMA. MEMA submits back to us. So we were cash flowing a significant amount of money. 2015, I became mayor. There was $17 million owed by the federal government for MEMA to us. We went and borrowed $11 million to catch up. I mean, it's been an ongoing, thank goodness. And of course, the Councilman Tisdale was with us every 2 weeks when we met, understanding, hey, we've got to get this in something. We cannot manage, $300 million worth of work. Well, without some mechanism, then we're staying 60 days ahead when it comes to cash flow. And that's a big thing. But I know I said a lot, but it's an ongoing business, and it's an $80 million, $90 million business, and with significant debt and significant things that you have to consider. Interest rates and those kinds of things that we've been very favorable, and we've been very fortunate in doing the things when interest rates were 5 and 6, they would drop down to 2%, maybe 2.1%. People still scratching it. How did you get that rate? Because we kind of understand what we're doing. But again, just like anything, you have to understand and project. But that budget is a perfect example of how we project accurately where we're going to be 15 months from now. So anyway, said a lot. Anybody have any questions before? We got the greatest team in the world. Colonel Rick Weaver over there. He's the man that's going to answer all the questions. But he's the new Michael, and remember Michael, the Colonel Weaver has been on board since June. And we're real pleased that it's kind of staring at things a lot alike. And I think he'll be grateful, but he is already grateful to Biloxi. I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, if I understand your explanation on Peter, that y'all thought you had $4 million that you said was going to be ample to prepare it, but then FEMA cut back on some of that, so you don't have enough money now. Is that correct?
Well, what is correct? We designed a pier that won't go anywhere. Okay? That pier, that design, see more engineering, we engaged, how many months ago, how many years ago was that?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, what the thing, what does it take to build an 800-foot pier with those, the breakwaters, something? It became $4 million. We thought we were going to get 2.4 million based on what they told us. And this is our second appeal or third appeal. The second appeal said, you can't do this. We've got, you didn't evaluate, you didn't, deflect those things that you said are not applicable. So bottom line, they squeezed us about $1.5 million out of the 2.2 million that we were going to get. It's ridiculous to you can't build a pier anywhere close to 800 feet long for $555,000.
Wouldn't it just be better for the city to fix that thing and, eat whatever the feds aren't going to pay us back? Because, it's just been going on for so long.
It's been going on since 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand, but you have to take a stand. Why are they doing that? You got a question again. It's delay, depose, and deny. And I said this to the number 2 man in FEMA, Walton. We had in D.C. again. Our lobbyists and our folks assembled both liaison with the White House because there's a new sheriff in town. You know what I mean? And FEMA is in a position that they have to defend these different. It's like different little gangs, the different regions there. We just happen to be in one that's not really straightforward. So, no, the bottom line, it's the point. It's your money, it's our money, it's our coast, and it should be. If you look at it, we ship every phase, every hurricane that appears to be replaced. And we probably spent $3.6 million on the damages on that pier. So it's worth. It's not. Don't do the same thing over and over.
I have one more question for you, if you don't mind. Where do you stand? You made some comments a couple months ago about wanting to try to get rid of some of the structures on the beach by the White House because of the homeless. Where does that stand?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not about the homeless. It happened on the 4th of July, and these folks, it may be homeless, maybe not. I got really ticked when a woman was trying to walk her 5-year-old daughter up and down and was afraid to come around. It was the night before I really got engaged, there was a little altercation where a woman got punched and she threw a beer bottle. Some of these people that would squat underneath that awning, it was just not good. It was for public safety. Even if you were homeless, it's dangerous for the people to be hanging out there. I think Dan Quaid, what Dan, we were together when you witnessed those folks, and it was troubling. It was a public safety issue as well as just the trash and stuff that accrued there. There's still a few of them hanging out around there, but we got their attention. And literally, within a mile and a half, you got a day center that if you need some things every Wednesday at the Mercy Cross Center, they were all out. I think 140 different people have been relocated, permanently homeless out of that operation. That's the Mercy Cross Center. They have every Wednesday they have a psychiatrist and a physician there. So if you really need the help and you really want the help, and it's there. So some people want to hang out, and I judged it. This was not a very ingratiating, situation. And we did talk. We had trade that night, and kind of said the best thing to do because there was a couple of things that we worked out the ability. The St. Beach Authority in the county has the opportunity to arrest people if they're over, stay over there after 10 o'clock at night. So those things, but we worked out those details, like Chief there. But those are the kinds of things that, and Chief Miller was there alongside us, but it was definitely public safety and just the right for people to enjoy that beach is what drove me. It had nothing really to do with the homeless, it had to do with what was going on there.
So no structures are going to be dismantled or anything like that?
We don't know. Like in the last couple of weeks, I hadn't seen those congregations there every day, but I drive by there two or three times a day. Yes, ma'am.
Many times as I drive down towards the Bow Garage and basically when you get to Porter Avenue, I noticed that all the sand is not in the turning bays, and there's no sand eroding on the sidewalks, and it's really quite lovely on the east side of Porter. But as you come toward the Coliseum, and you basically, definitely when you get to Community Street, it kind of gets dirty. And so I realize that the coast is coming up, and so we may get some TLC. But I would like to see that West Biloxi gets the same attention that East Biloxi gets with our sidewalks and turning bays and the neutral ground cleaned. I mean, all the sand roads down to the highway, and we live here, and I appreciate that the tourists are contributing large amounts of money in the casinos and all, but we live here and we pay property taxes, and we'd like to see our side of the town as clean as that side of the town.
Well, let me go back a little bit in history a little bit. We had an opportunity between Oak Street and the small grass hall to do some things. We had some donate money, and with the county, we built some boardwalks right over from behind Restaurant Road, and that was very successful.
And the beautiful waves that are going over the.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is all an evolution of where we are and where we're going. Okay, so it's going to take a moment or so. But if you look between Oak Street and Small Grass Hall, east and west, it's about 5,000 feet. We put about $2 million into that. We did some things differently. There are 9 steps in that seawall. There are 9 steps on that seawall, pretty much from the beach road to Highway 9 in most places. We decided, like it was there before, to put another 10-foot on top, resting on top of the seawall. That seawall has been there since 1927, and it's not going into. The road might go somewhere, but that seawall was there and it's solid. We got all the testing done. We're able to put a concrete 10-foot boardwalk, but at the end of that boardwalk, we put an 18-inch knee wall. And we also did something in restoring the sand.
Yeah, I saw all that, it's lovely, but what my point is when does West Biloxi start to just get the sand out?
Well, let me finish the story. That 25,000 yards of sand was 320 microns, which is heavier grains that was not impacted by the wind events that pushed that sand. So a combination of things, raising the profile. so the sand doesn't blow up and get heavier sand. We're gonna restore sand. You can see every place, especially around the mall, we're getting 15, 20 feet of sand where you need to be 230 feet. And that's, the county is committed to restoring, not all in one day, but it's about a $10 million project, I think, to do that. But we do want the sand to stay on the beach. And there are a lot of dunes, and there's a project, Sand Beach Authority, you've seen them, there's some of the heavier duty dunes that will, keep the sand on the beach where it belongs. And we're 100% with, and I think there'll be a combination of what you do, the oaks and that are being planted, the grooming of the sand, over the years. A lot of things, people don't know, why is that sand drop against the second, third level, or even right up against the seawall? Well, there's an ADA regulation that you cannot walk along that seawall and fall more than 26 inches. So they push the sand, you fall into the sand, but you would have to have some sort of fence or something to keep you from falling. So that was the genesis of that. You can push that sand so you don't have, so we'd have to put a fence to keep you from falling.
But Mayor Gilich, you cannot traverse the north side of Highway 90 sidewalks right now because they're so covered in sand from some parts of the border to the west.
No, I have been for years.
Yes, for years. I took a picture of a young lady pushing her sister in a wheelchair trying to traverse those sidewalks, and they cannot have a stroller.
I can't argue with that. That's the truth. And then 3 years ago, the county, the city, and the state put $200,000, just like before, in October before the push, we cleaned that. And again, it's 3 different, the MDOT has the ability and the charge to keep the sand off the road and those, but it's the City of Biloxi on that north side of the westbound lane to keep it square, and we're trying to do that. But you can't argue with that. The sand blows. If the sand would stay on the beach, and whatever you get heavier sand or heavier grain sand where it stays on the beach, do a combination of obstruction of the deep wall as well as the COs, and then we've got a solution. Yes.
You had a town hall meeting back in April, okay? The City of Biloxi sponsored it at Homeless. I know a lot of people attended that meeting, the city room all meeting, chairs were brought in. I believe at the end of the meeting, the charge was that city council and the mayor were supposed to come up with some ideas and come back to have another meeting. It's been almost 5 months, and as far as I know, no follow-up has been done on that, what is the next step? We still have homeless in town.
Again, we're behind the scenes looking at, a little example we had for, in regard to Mercy Cross and some of the things that they have a day center there. And again, but it's closed at 5 o'clock. Then, it was told to me that 70% of those people that, take advantage of those services sleep on the beach. Okay, which is, not legal. So, what we're trying to do is figure out the solution to that problem.
So my question is, are we having another town hall
No,
meeting?
at this point, we're not. We're trying to figure out what the possible solution. There's a long-term play there, but it's going to be all the cities together have the same issue, and we're trying to put a collective number of solutions together in order to say, don't sleep on the beach. We have a place for you. Again, the law has been changed to say as far as sleeping on public in public places and even in private places when you're not supposed to. It's complex. It's mixed with addiction as well as mental health, and we're trying to help the people that want help and try to understand where we can be impactful.
And I agree. I guess as a citizen who, hadn't heard that there's been any follow-up or anything that's going on, it would be nice that the city would communicate with the residents, especially those who.
Well, again, a collective way, because it won't be all being in the city of Biloxi, and it needs to be those details before we can engage and spread the news. I have no easy answers to that. It's a tough question, tough situation. All right, Mike, you got any questions?
No, I'm just speaking.
Anyway, I do appreciate the opportunity, but this is a time of year that we've been engaged, and tomorrow I expect that we'll come to where we need to be when it comes to this budget. There's a lot of things happening. Let me just kind of give you an update. I think the last iteration of Jared probably talked a little bit about Chick-fil-A. That's always on somebody's radar. Yeah.
I got a question. I was on Mr. Road about it just a few minutes ago. Blue Wall Road, it's been a year and a half since they tore it up down there close to 90 doing the infrastructure work. And it's been a year, a little more than a year now for Eisenhower.
But we'll get into that.
Well, I asked him, can we get some kind of temporary pay job? Because you've got all these people cruising the coast here. And I ride across those two roads.
On Blue Wall Road, I think they finally connected the old and the new together, right?
The infrastructure.
The infrastructure, we probably could get some temporary payment.
Something to smooth it out.
On Blue Wall, not so much for me. I think that's another story that would require a little bit more than temporary pay. But some places, I think on Southern, where the intersection is.
Well, I asked about it a year ago when we had the 4 to 5 meeting here.
I'll try to address that in detail.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, y'all be great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. I mentioned Anthony Marshall, who's the new councilman in Ward 3. If you don't mind, excuse me, in Ward 2. If you don't mind staying. Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Rick Weaver is the new Director of Administration. You may remember for a number of years, Mike Leonard was the Chief Administrative Officer and Mike retired. Mr. Weaver, Director of Administration, also serving as the Interim Director for Parks and Recreation and Public Works. I just had a couple of things listed here for him. Mr. Weaver, if you don't mind. Thank you. My advice to him when he began his tenure here, I said, begin smoking and drinking heavily and immediately. I don't know if he's taking my advice. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Tisdale, I'm 56 years old and I never smoke, so I ain't gonna start now. But, so again, thank y'all for allowing me to come out here and talk to y'all. Of course, 2 things I would like to do real quick is, of course, Supervisor, of course, if you have any comments or anything you want to say or later on, sir.
Maybe later.
And of course, Mr. Marshall from Ward 2 is here, but his better half actually is with him as well too, Mr. Marshall. Welcome to this. And so, as he said, I am the CAO, and Mr. Mike Leonard, of course, is retired in May. The mayor brought me on in June, and I got 20 full days ahead of the new council from starting working on there. So, a few things that he asked me to talk about was first and foremost the garbage rates. Of course, as we work with Harrison County Utility Authority across the board, everyone pays whatever they are, and the rates as they go, the city does not make anything off of. It's a pass-through from you back to the Harrison County Utility Authority. Those rates will go up from $24.25 to $25.50. So basically, it's a $1.25 raise for your trash to be picked up. One thing I do want to comment on here is we also have a lot of trash, especially your large debris. And you notice that around different vacant lots and stuff such as those. If you will put that in front of your house, once a week, Harrison County Utility will send Pelican to pick that up. Because if you put it in a vacant lot, no one's paying that. So that means that we've got to be able to find it and then send our team out there, pull them off of doing whatever they're doing to go out and pick that trash up. So if you can make certain that yourselves, your neighbors, or whoever else is putting it in front of their house, that should get picked up once a week. And if it's not picked up, please give me a call at that point in time, and I will call out to the Harrison County Utility Authority and make certain that they will follow up on those. Those people have really done a good job on there, and I've been to those meetings several times, and they want to make certain that it's taken care of. But it's got to be in front of a residence. It can't be on a vacant lot. So, and that was news to me. I didn't know how they actually operated until then, so I just wanted to pass that information along to you, and maybe you can pass that along to the rest of the ones as well too. Do not put it on the vacant lot, put it in front of your house, and we'll pick it up on whatever trash day it is. Water rates are on just a 3% raise. The City of Biloxi still has the lowest water and sewer rates in the region. So if you take a look across the board, they're still lower than anyone else that's out there. And water lines and headquarter estates, I'm actually going to turn that over and let Ms. Babata talk about those, along with some other things going from there. A few things that I did want to talk about, ma'am, you're in reference to the sidewalks on West Biloxi. Those will be getting cleaned up in the next few weeks. As we work through here again, I started June 10th, and for y'all that don't know, I did retire out of the military. The mayor and the council were gracious enough to allow me some vacation time that I already had planned before I started working. So, and of course, then the council, the majority of them are new. So we rolled right into a big budget, trying to work through all the budgets that the mayor's already talked about. So it's a learning curve for very well too. And so as we go through this, I'm very open to whatever we're doing. But those will be taken care of in the next few weeks from that. We're also working with Harrison County's sand commission to make certain that those bays are cleaned up and how we can do it. What the mayor and I were talking about is really very ingenious. And not because I work for him, because I really thought it was a smart idea as an Army engineer to go in with that heavier sand and with that knee board. If y'all get an opportunity to go over in front of where Oral Key Museum is, that area, you'll see that little blue knee board. And that heavier sand on the outside actually works out tremendously. You don't have as much. You still have some. Councilman Gray will tell you real quick. He'll call me in a heartbeat. And we had someone at the bus stop over there that made go fix the other day. So we're still going to have some of that, but it may not be as much. But we are working diligently towards that. Yes, ma'am.
The problem is, particularly on the north side of the highway, is that the sand has built up so high that it erodes down onto the sidewalk. Whereas the cumulative amount of years from, just when it started, we didn't really do this until Katrina. But now the sand built up so high above the sidewalk on the north side that when you have rain, hard rain, the sand actually erodes onto the sidewalk. The sand needs to be underneath the curb cuts. I mean, where the curbs are. If the sand was below that level, it couldn't escape. And that's part of the problem. As a passionate gardener, explain to Mr. Tisdale that the sand has to get below the curb. Otherwise, it will continue to erode into the turning bays and onto the sidewalk. It's just something that, after a while, when you look at it for so long, you're just like, oh.
I don't want you to beat it over, but I do want you to give us an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And that's all I ask for, is just give us an opportunity to be able to, and you know who I am now.
Yes, sir.
So, please feel free. I mean, if you come in City Hall, second floor, just go ahead and hang a right, go to the mayor's office, leave mine on the left alone, but make sure you go straight to my office and let me know what's going on with that. And that's what I want to do, is how do we make it better?
Yes, sir.
How do we fix some of the things? And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not going to be able to fix everything. And, and I'm not a politician. I work for the politicians. And sometimes I'm going to tell you no. Or I'm going to tell you this is what I've got to do to get there. Now, I will tell you, I've been very proud of what's going on in Biloxi. And hopefully y'all know that. Because the lowest millage rate in the region, the best fire rating in the area, in the state. There's only 2 fire departments that have a number 2 rating in the state. That's Gulfport and Biloxi. And Biloxi is actually closer to getting a number 1 rating than any other place. Then you have the Biloxi Police Department. Just turn on the local news and listen. Chief Miller is amazing. Chief D-Back, they do a great job with what we have. So, as we work towards this, those are things I want you to take a look at. And of course, obviously, our public works. Do we need to improve? Yes, I agree. Our parks and rec. We have 4 parks. I didn't know Biloxi had so many parks. Good Lord. We find this is the parks in Biloxi. But you know what? Y'all deserve this many parks. You deserve this many parks. But it takes a little time to get all these parks to where you want. And that's one reason why Jamie will be up later on to kind of discuss. There is a lot of things that are out there. You're a very valid point, and we're going to take a look at what you're talking about. And I'll have them out cleaning first. Then we can start getting into the details. I always call it, and the councilman laughed at me. Being an old Army guy, I talk about a 7-minute mile and a 30-minute mile. It's still a mile no matter how you look at it. But that 7-minute mile, you can grasp with that low hanging fruit. That 30-minute mile, you got to think about it a little bit. And some of the things that we're having to work on is we got to think about. But while we're doing that, we're also grabbing that 7-minute mile low hanging fruit as well too. And we have October 4th, you'll see coming out. We have a business in downtown Biloxi that is bringing their employees in to just help clean up. You've seen the mayor and Councilman Gladden have this litter campaign going on, and we've been working on that to try to help clean up. And hopefully you've noticed that in the last few months since the mayor and them have implemented that. Those are things that we're looking at. You talked about the homeless. We're working on that as a statewide initiative from there, because not only is it an enforcement issue, but you as well know it's a mental health issue. And we can't fight it one way or the other. It's got to be a full-fledged. And the state of Mississippi has majority rural areas. And as you're dealing with that, and I've got Chief Miller here, who's highly respected throughout this entire state, throughout this region. But he's one voice. So you got the coast. Then you jump, they have a little bit in Harrisburg, then you got the Jackson area. Then you jump all the way up, and then you have the South Haven area. But you got a whole lot of other chiefs of police that it's not an issue for them, they've got other issues. So that's how we've got to be able to fight that now, is going back to the state and to the national level of how do we deal with this from an enforcement side, and how do we deal with it as a mental health issue as well. And you heard the mayor talking earlier about that. Ma'am, you had a question?
No, I was just going to mention that I saw this evening where they're going to be doing a lot of budget cuts with the police, and so that's going to have a lot of positive effect on them.
I'm gonna do budget cuts across the thing, and I will take full credit now from cutting a budget. That has been mine as the chief administrative officer. That has been mine. I have owned that. Now, I get guidance, and final votes will come from those 7 council and the mayor. But it is my job to provide them what it is. I have sat down with each director and briefed them on this proposed budget. And they are also, we're coming up with a list of things that we're going to provide to the mayor and to the council based upon this budget. Here's where we're at. But we have to be able to live within our means. Those are things that, and it's tough, I'll be honest with you. I used to be a police officer a long time ago. That's why it's real hard whenever Chief Miller walks in and says, boss, I'm like, man, that's upside down. It ain't supposed to work that way. But from there, we've got to take a hard look, not only at the police. I've got to take a look at fire, the administration. I've got to take a look at public works. I've got to look at everything that we do. How do I cut corners here? But also, how do I make it to where we can increase revenue? So it's a kind of a two-pronged approach. Yes, I have to cut the budget here, but I've also got to make certain that we're still a vacation destination. The residents here are as safe and protected as best that we possibly can, based upon the fundings and the ability that we have. And hopefully I answered your question. Is there any other questions for me? Thank you all so very much.
Jamie Lee is, you don't see his name listed on the agenda here, but he's the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. Mr. Weaver mentioned him, so Jamie, if you have some comments you'd like to make, feel free.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to give you a little overview of what we have going on in our Department of Parks and Rec. You know, we're constantly, as Director Weaver said, working on the improvement, the overall aesthetics in our parks, keeping the grass cut, getting some of the trees trimmed, cleaned up, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it was really nice outside this morning with that cooler weather, so hopefully that grass will slow down a little bit and let us focus on some other areas of need that we need to improve on at Hiller Park and all of our parks, not just Hiller, but all of them throughout the city. We do have a large number of parks throughout our city. I know with Ward 5, you know, you don't have a whole lot except the Pennzoil and Manus Park, which I can gladly say that we finally got some outdoor exercise equipment installed out there. So if you haven't seen it out there, go by and visit it. Pretty nice, pretty good way to stay in shape out there with outdoor exercise. One other thing Ward 5 does have is, you know, this building here is very unique. It's a community center, but it's also a multi-purpose center. There's just a lot of different things that go on here on a daily basis. Anything from senior programming, special needs programming. You can hear next door right there the squeaking of the shoes on the gym floor. We have basketball going on at this time. We have these lines are down here on the floor. People play pickleball in here as well as the gym on a daily basis. We have a racquetball area over there in that hallway. And for those of you that didn't know, we have a swimming pool in here. That's open Monday through Friday for the first half of the day. We have a weight room upstairs that you can utilize. We have exercise equipment, ellipticals, treadmills, some come with bikes. If you just want to get out, go up there and put a puzzle together. We have puzzle areas up there that you can utilize. Meeting rooms, as I said before, that are utilized for our senior program. If you're interested in that, please see one of our front desk attendants and they can put you in touch with the person you need to contact if you're interested in doing some of those senior activities. The walking track upstairs is open to you. Recently, we were able to remove all those old upstairs seating, so basically it doubled the size of our walking track. And you can see where that old seating was with the discoloration of the wall, and that is on our radar. Hopefully, as I said, once the grass stops growing and gives us a little bit more time, we're going to look at getting up there and maybe paint that wall around the walking track so it'll all blend in together. This facility is also available for rentals. Behind that door right there, you have a full-service kitchen that can be utilized for the rental functions that we have going on here. And I guess about the last thing for our department that we do have going on, it doesn't necessarily pertain to Ward 5 or anything, but our youth football and youth cheerleading is about to start with the fall, and then we'll have soccer and basketball coming up soon right after that. So if you have anybody you know that's interested, please contact us and we can get you in touch with the right people. Any questions for me about Parks and Rec? All right, thank you.
You've heard water rates mentioned, and if you go to my website, links on the right, you can see a link to water rates that will explain what the increase is and how much, what it is currently this year and what it will be next year. I want to point that out. Next is Walt Brody. He's the infrastructure program manager. I don't know how long you've been there, Walt, 8 years? 10 years, just seems like all your life, right? But please come up and give us an update, particularly those FEMA projects in Ward 5 or West Biloxi. I know Fofo Road gets a lot of attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Before the mayor gets out of here. You know, our new Chief Admin Officer, Rick Weaver, as he mentioned, he came on June 10th, 2025, to be our Chief Admin Officer. What he did not know is that our mayor plays 3D chess. So when our CAO, Rick Weaver, came on board, and he already had a pre-planned vacation, rightly so, from his last job, come and get a little break before he came on with the city. So he went to Hawaii, I believe. Well, while he was gone, the Chief Admin Officer received the job duty titles of Interim Public Works Director, interim Parks and Rec Director, Deputy City Clerk, plus his standard CAO job. So for one salary, the mayor gave somebody 4 jobs. So that is the way we are helping to get our budget correct and in good shape. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, CAO Rick Weaver. Briefly, get back to your question about the sidewalks. Those are the great questions and concerns. I came on board June 6, 2016, D-Day 2016, and I remember the first year I was here, the Mayor Gilich, unlike many cities I've worked for in the past, said, I don't care what it takes, we're going to get sand off the beaches and off these sidewalks. Now, I don't know what the state of the funding was in 2016 compared to right now. I have a pretty good idea, but the problem we're having is MDOT has right-of-way and responsibilities along Highway 90. The county has right-of-way and responsibilities. The city, plus we have active contractors in that area. So the problem we're facing is a lot of overlap. And people say, who's going to get to it? We got limited budgets, we got limited workforce. And to me, I think that's part of the biggest hurdle we have is maybe our funding is not as great as it was in 2016 when the mayor said, I don't care whose right away it is. We're just going to get the sand off because it looks bad. And we're going to need to get it cleaned up. And that's what the city did. Again, it's a little bit of politics into it on county, MDOT, and city, and contractors who's responsible, but that's the situation we're in and why it's not maybe probably as well as what we need at this time. But the mayor and the council people have heard our concerns, your concerns, and hopefully we can get that resolved. Moving on, if we would, to the infrastructure. Ward 5, if you can see the maps over there to my right, your left, as Councilman Tisdale likes to do when he's up there. Currently, we have projects that we call the BDA 1, 2, and 3 under active construction. That's from the Bees Road to Veterans. Most of the infrastructure is complete. We just have some minor infrastructure to transfer over from the old sewer main to the sewer main. We do have a lot of asphalt pavements complete, permanent asphalt on Boulevard Road, I-town, just about everywhere. We put out a lot of temporary asphalt on a lot of these roads, which is actually fairly unique. Both MEMA and FEMA denied us for years to put out temporary asphalt. And this became a big issue, obviously, with the North contract and all the roads being torn up. Both MEMA and FEMA denied the city allowance to use our FEMA funds to address that. And when I came on board, we told, when I came on board, the mayor, kind of like the sand, he said, I don't care. These people are driving through the dirt and the dust, and we're going to try to resolve that and put down asphalt on as many roads as we can, whether or not we get reimbursed. That was $750,000 because the people were suffering. You can't go to church, you can't go to lunch, you can't go to work, you can't visit your family and friends. So the mayor elected to use city funds to put down temporary asphalt to address those concerns. Now, luckily, we were able to convince MEMA and FEMA that temporary asphalt is warranted. First of all, it's a means to effectively get people to and fro. It's a emergency need in case there's ever a response necessary for police or fire or ambulance. And also, it's a form of erosion control. You don't have all that dust and dirt washing off. And we were able to get reimbursed from MEMA and FEMA, and we were able to get them to say that we could use future funds we currently have, to put down temporary asphalt where needed, such as Boulevard Road, which asphalt's not great, obviously. I drive it, try to drive it every day. Yes, sir, I agree. And I drive it on my personal truck to make sure that I don't have any bias, but the contractor, he has subcontractors, and they only want to bring them in as little as often because they got to pay those subs mobilization. Now, it's not a great excuse, but they want to have enough work to bring that subcontractor in one time or two times during project duration.
Well, they're making tens of millions of dollars on this contract.
Yes, sir.
Case Brothers is. It wouldn't take that much more to just put a smooth, we drive it every single day too. And it rattles, it's like riding a little kid's roller coaster.
Yes, sir. And even in our temporary asphalt, we've told them, look, you put down temporary, we will pay for additional temporary asphalt to smooth it out, to make it smooth. I think part of the problem is, in the council, we've got most of our council members here, if not all of them, is, except for missing one, is, you recognize who the contractor is and when he comes up again. But it's not as if that it's an absorbed item by the contractor. There's no reason they could not do it. We paid for it. We told them we wanted it smooth. And they are who they are. However, saying that, they did tie in the last of the infrastructure, which is why you have the air there on Mobile Road, like halfway up between 90 and the West Gate, just Coliseum. They put that down to tie it in. Their subcontractor wasn't going to be available for another 6 or 8 weeks. Our general contractor went ahead and did the infrastructure, knowing that they're going to keep it with the aggregates. We talked to them a couple times a week, at least saying, when are you going to get the permanent asphalt down, smooth it out? In fact, we'll be meeting with them tomorrow morning to address these very concerns. Sir?
So is the check you send to them every week or month, or whatever it works?
Once a month, they submit a pay application, and we pay them on the work. We recommend to the council, based on the amount of work they put in, and that is what we pay them, as the mayor mentioned about payments and reimbursements. They have an opportunity to do it better if they wish, then our council have an opportunity to say no.
I used to deal with a lot of contractors.
Yes,
like
sir.
that. You hold their money, boy, they'll start moving real quick to do something.
Yes, sir. So, it is frustrating. Again, it's not an absorbed item, so they could easily put it down as we asked to get it smooth, but we got to pay for it. But that's the type of contract we're dealing with at this time.
That's pretty good.
Yes, sir. All right, well, thank you. Again, the project beginning 1, 2, 3 is between the Bs and veterans. Right now, we're probably looking at November of completing all that work, including the paving, barring major issues. And then the next project, just to the right, look at the far right, my far right map here, far left map. Next project we're going to put out to bid is called Rod 9, that's road number 9. That's basically from veterans to St. Peter's. And we're meeting with the design engineer actually this Wednesday with the administration. That would be another good project for us that's FEMA funded. Then our last project is what we call Buena Vista East 1 and 2. That project is where, as the mayor mentioned, we are appealing to FEMA. They did not properly estimate the funding for the infrastructure. They're aware of it. They wrote it down in writing that they failed to do it. And now they're saying they're going to deny it anyways. That's what we're appealing. That's what we can go to Washington, D.C. Quite a bit to deal with our FEMA counterparts and our legislators, congressional delegation, and with MEMA to say that they put it in writing, they admitted to their fault, and now they're not wishing to honor it. That's going to affect Ward 2 significantly. Complete that area, that infrastructure. That's all I had on my current readout. If anybody has any specific questions they wish to ask. Yes,
I
ma'am.
think he had asked you to address the Edgewater State's water line.
That was Chris.
That was Ms. Chris, our
Sorry,
director of
I apologize.
engineering. That's okay. That's our director of engineering. She'll take care of that. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
We're not gonna use a bid case on that other bid project you got going on, dude.
Well, everybody has a right to bid, and Well, the statute is lowest and best, and it's the problem with who defines what is the best with court cases here in the state of Mississippi. But it's well known to our councilmen and our administration, some of the struggles we've been dealing with, and of course our citizens, most of them. So, look at it. Sir?
I'm like that astronaut. He was going around the moon, and he looked down there and asked him, what do you think's going on? What do you think about this? He says, I was thinking about the lowest bidder bid on building this spaceship on. So that's what I'm saying about that road down there.
You hope it remains airtight while you're in space.
I don't want to be Apollo 13 now.
No, sir. So, Mayor, back, do you have any questions for me, sir, on traffic control or any issues with? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Christy Labata, a good French name. And those of you who attended previous ward meetings have met Christy before. I've asked her to speak on two topics. Bay Vista Water Well and Water Lines Project, which is currently underway, and also the Posterity Extension, which is underway, but Mr. Weaver mentioned her in conjunction with the Edgewater Estates water line. So Christy will touch on that as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. All right, Bay Vista Water Well Project, we'll start off with that. Most of you probably don't see much going on there, but it's just right on the cat corner right there behind the fire station. That water well project's been going on for quite a few months now. We're about 75% complete. The only thing we have left is the chlorination system and the generator. And basically what that will do is it's a redundant well to provide water for this part of town in case one of our other wells goes down, we have to take a tank down to do maintenance. So it's not something that really affects the residents, but it's something that's needed for our water system. The next thing is probably on lots of people's minds is our Bay Vista Water Line Project. Yes, and that project is moving along. You probably don't see a lot of work. They're doing a lot of the water line boring first, and then going back and doing open cuts. Right now, they're working on everything north of Bay Vista Road, and when they finish that, they're going to start moving towards the south part of the subdivision. I don't know if y'all have any questions about that right now. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'll spin from that because, you have replaced the old water lines.
Yes.
Updated all of that. That's on Carter Road and so
Yes.
forth, and some like 4 lanes and so forth.
Yes.
And what's left there now are just like these concrete, not concrete, but like a gravel overlays.
Right.
And when are they going to be able to?
They probably will not come back and fix all that to the very end. So while the water mains are in, they have not come back through, they still have to come back through and tie the individual houses back in.
Oh, okay.
So that's also brings up a good point. You may still see water main breaks in your neighborhood. If you do, it's because they haven't tied the houses back in yet. They're gonna get all the lines in place and then come back and tie the houses in, and then they'll come back and make sure everybody's yard is fixed, make sure that the roads are repaved, make sure everything looks nice again. I know Dr. Stinn's open work on getting all of your streets paved, so we've been holding off in this project to get that done. So hopefully once we get it done, we can get some final paving done. They'll come in and patch the places that they've torn up, but then hopefully they'll be able to come in and do some final paving if we get some funding.
Is that all?
Yeah, well, all the roads, yes, we're gonna try to pave as many as we can, that we'll have to talk about. Any other questions about the Bay Vista Water Line Project? No, we're really quiet tonight. Potsbury Extension, I'll give a quick update on that. It's really still doing utility work, water sewer drainage underneath the road. They've got the underpass built on the south side of the railroad tracks. Quite impressive. If you'd like to go back, you can go on the Coliseum side property and see it. It's pretty neat. It's about 20% complete, so it's just moving along. Not much happening as far. That's very exciting at this point. Basically, it's just a bunch of dirt and pipes in the ground. And then last but not least, I'll talk about the Edgewater Estates water lines and sewer lines. So the sewer line project, we actually just met with DEQ about a week ago, looking for some grant money. So we're working on that application to replace all the sewer lines in both sides of Edgewater Estates. And with the water lines, that's one of our areas, that, and there's some areas over in Sunkist that still have asbestos pipe in the ground. And from what I understand, they're working very hard, the mayor, who's already left, is working very hard to try to get back in, to get that some funding this year. Don't know the outcome of that yet, but we're working on both of those with some funding. Anything else, Rick, on that? All right, that's really all I have for you all this week. Yes?
I talked to you about this topic about a year ago. Is there any plans to provide this drawing right here on this intersection for Pops Ferry and Pass Road to fix the current problem? Because right now, I don't know if the Coliseum Commission's requested another turning lane going to the south and taken away from the area right there, but it's right where that Clark station is. It'd be in the northeast quadrant. They need a dedicated turning lane going to the north, and you told me it was being discussed. I don't know.
Yeah, it's part of the
Gain
Pops,
any traction?
it's part of the Pops Ferry Extension Project. So that Pops Ferry Extension Project.
Yeah, but you look at this drawing right here, and it excludes what you're talking about.
It doesn't have the turn lane in it,
Has
yeah.
it been revised or what?
No, it has not been revised. So that whole intersection is going to be redone as a part of the Pops Ferry Extension. But right as of now, there's no revision in there to include that additional turn lane.
You know, reiterate, when you get off work from Keesler and you're heading, let's just say toward Gulfport or further in West Biloxi, you're going to, people's cutting down Nelson Road, and people's cutting down Jim Money, and I don't know if the Coliseum Commission's behind this, you know, I don't know.
No, sir.
It's, you know, it only makes common sense, you only got one time to get it right. Now's the opportune time to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we've all lived the traffic there in the afternoons, stacked up past Boulevard Road.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can take another look at it again. That project, I will tell you, is very, very tight on funding. There's not a lot of room for
Well,
additional
like I said,
changes.
they're putting in an extra turning lane going to the south. It looks like to me it's accommodating Coliseum. I don't know, but it's
No,
apparent.
it's not. It's based on so those turn lanes were based on a traffic study that was done by our consulting engineer on all of the anticipated traffic that's going to be coming that way. It doesn't have anything to do with like the Coliseum. It's just the traffic in general in that area. And so that's where the extra turn lane came in, because they expect more people to go south on that new road.
But that many people heading west is, you know, most of them's gonna come off the night. You know, instead of coming from east.
Turning lanes are gonna be an issue at that intersection, whether people are going eastbound on Pass Road, going northbound on Pops Ferry, or going westbound on Pass Road, turning north on Pops Ferry. There's no way to turn. And unless they address the issue, like Russell said, you know, you want to have foresight. You don't want to fix a problem after it, like Bucky's intersection or the roundabout in Ocean Springs. They're having to redo it because nobody had the foresight to plan it out.
Yes, sir. And all I can say is that we did traffic studies that were intended to plan for that. Now, we can go back and restudy those intersections, but that's where that intersection design came from, based on anticipated traffic flows.
One of the hot button issues tonight is constituents is the traffic flow in West Biloxi. And that's the major piece of it right there.
Yes, sir. And that traffic flow.
Yeah, the ebb and flow, something needs to be done with it.
Yes, sir.
To keep people from going down Jim Money, Atkinson Road, taking shortcuts Nelson Road, and just get rid of that bottleneck. Now is not a good chance to do it. I just saw that extra turning lane right there, and it's just, you know.
Yes, sir. We can try to look for some funding to do an additional traffic study, to study the traffic patterns there and see if one is.
Well, you know, I talked to you about a year and a half ago on it. I didn't know if it gained any traction or not. I don't know, but it needs, now's the time to address it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll talk to administration about it and see what we can do.
Christie, I've bugged Mr. Creel for over a year about the Nelson Road intersection, especially with Chick-fil-A coming in. Is there another study about that intersection?
Yes, actually there is. We just got funded through GRPC to do a traffic study of that intersection. And it was just approved maybe, I don't know, a few weeks ago, so we're about to put our RFP out to select a consultant to study that intersection and see what
Okay.
improvements can be made.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Follow up to Pass Road in Nelson.
could you, I mean, I mentioned this every meeting I go to. What about, can you at least get that drop off when you turn on to Nelson? It is terrible, and it's even worse. There's more traffic coming from Rouse's. I can't believe whether we have Chick-fil-A or anything else that's going in that area, and the cars still continue. They do not stop back far enough for you to turn on to Nelson. It's just continually getting worse.
What she's talking about, there's a stop on the line, and cars do not stop. They pull all the way up the pass road. There's a sewer drain and a curb right there, and the road narrows there. There's not enough room for 2 cars. So you got cars cutting tires and going into the sewer drain there and tearing up their cars because they can't make the turn.
It's a school zone, and we have children that walk in that neighborhood, and I just on a daily basis know children that go that way, and it just, you know, cars are one thing, lives are another, and I would just hate for one of my babies to get hurt. And it needs to be fixed.
Yes, we do have a traffic study. We don't have money to do anything just yet, but this is the first step to see what needs to be done, and also helps us apply for funding and for grants. If we have this traffic study and we show a need, that way we can go out and try to get some money and make these improvements.
We live at Fofo Gilich there, and looking out across the beach, there's a drain on the sidewalk.
Yes.
And then there's one down that leads out of the thing that goes out to Florida. And often, when we walk, it's open, and sometimes we see kids playing around on that with that, and I just think that's very dangerous.
It's in the sidewalk on the south side of 90?
On the beach.
On the beach.
Yeah.
On the beach.
Across from Fofo. Yeah, south side.
Okay, so are you talking about like the open canals that the water comes through, or is there something like actually in the sidewalk?
This is actually in the sidewalk.
In the sidewalk, okay.
And then there's one below that opens too, and you see kids playing down there with that.
Yeah, okay. We can take a look at that. Yes, ma'am.
Since we're adding streets to the list, that hopefully will get great. And fixed. Again, my name is Sugar, former commissioner for City of Biloxi. Pine Grove Avenue.
Yes.
There's sewer, and I've talked to Dr. Tisdale a number of times about this. There's a sewer, and the road, I guess, dips, and it dips really low to, again, where your car could be injured. And then we have, that is a thoroughfare for where high school, elementary, there's a bus stop right from my household. So I definitely would like to, again, with the proper funding and hopefully with, budget cuts and things of that
And we
nature,
do-
kind of get that fixed and resolved.
We do know that Pine Grove has been on our list for a long time to get fixed. We know, I promise you, every time you call in, he calls us. I promise he does fight for y'all. But it's one of those that it needs a lot of utility work. The county, I think, had even agreed to do some paving, but the utilities, it doesn't make it a lot of sense because utilities have to be replaced. And it's high on our list. It's just when we can get some funding. So.
And the reason I'm really concerned with that, not only for the thoroughfare for the children and but also we have the Coliseum there. And so when they let out and open that thoroughfare in the back, it's also the extra traffic congestion that we endure on that road. So it's not just a one-ply issue, it's a two-ply, just like we need the heavy-duty stuff to kind of get it going there. And I just really would like some TLC and some attention to that.
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll make that. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Christie. Jerry Creels, Director of Community Development, he would tell you there's a lot going on in Biloxi. If you could, Jerry, once you're up here, it's like having a remote at home. You have all the power and the glory that goes with it, but just keep it to West Biloxi, Ward 5 in particular, if you can, because there's a lot going on in the city. Mr. Creels.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up tonight. We do have a lot of projects going on. Of course, we've got housing going on everywhere in Biloxi, whether it's south or north. But let me just mention some of the things. Economic development is just one part of what we do in our department. We got a lot of moving parts. in our department. And Miss Anita asked me from time to time, "Well, do you realize that everything that happens in the city of Biloxi is your fault?" And I have told her, yeah, I hear that a lot. But we do have a new Goodwill store. We haven't had a chance to go in there. It is really nice. We have 62 townhomes that are under construction. Petty Boy townhomes there off of Eisenhower. They're very nice. If you haven't had a chance to look at those, they're worth looking at. Let's see, we're going to have, this is not Ward 5, but it's close to Ward 5, a new Five Below going in next to Rouse's. You have a new Seven Brew coffee shop going in front of Rouse's. Christy has already talked about the Hot Sphere extension here at Gateway and the Service Road. That's the road that comes in off of Highway 90 and comes back to the old hospital. We're working on a very nice hotel that's going to be going in there. It'll have 112 rooms, very upscale hotel that we've talked with them about last week. The Lost Garden Villas, which are the townhomes right behind the new convenience store, are just about finished up. I think we've got 2 more units to go there, and they'll be through. Another apartment complex going in on Briarfield. They've just gotten started on some of the site work, but not all of it. Of course, the Chick-fil-A, everybody wants to know what's happening with the Chick-fil-A. And what happened is that the Chick-fil-A, we were supposed to have their plans in last week. They didn't come in, so I emailed them to talk about it. What happened is they changed the construction design on the building. They had an original design that they were going to do, and they've gone back and decided to do what's called pathwise construction. So they're revising those plans. We understand that we'll get the plans pretty soon. We don't know exactly when they're going to start construction, but we are in constant contact with them, trying to push them to get started on that project. The Beauvoir Villas project that went to the council and failed to get a motion. We've met with them, and they're redesigning that project for something that's a little bit more accommodating and would work better in the neighborhood, so we're waiting on those plans to come back in. The Keesler Federal Credit Union building, where they got the zoning changed 2 or 3 years ago, and they were going to build their new office building there. We haven't heard anything from them, so basically we're waiting on them to present plans to us, and when they do, we'll review those. Another item that we get a lot of questions about is the Broadway Inn Express. It's sat there vacant for a long time after the tragic accident happened. But what happened is that a group of developers from Gulf Shores bought that. And it's taken some time because there was a lot of termite damage inside that building. But if you've gone by there recently, it's really starting to take shape now. They've actually cleaned out the swimming pool. They're going to reopen that again, but they've painted the outside. They've done a lot of work to the inside. I understand that they're going to probably repave the parking lot, stripe it, but much different than it looked for the past few years where it was vacant. I have a number of other things that we can talk about, but since we're limiting this to
go ahead and take a couple more minutes.
Okay. One of the big things that we're doing is the new cyber center. It's going to be where White Avenue comes in and used to stop at the gate to Keesler. Keesler is moving their fence back so that White Avenue will now go up and tie in with Judge Sickle Road. All of that will be open to the public. And on the southeast corner there, they're going to be building a new university building there that will teach cyber training, cyber security training. And this building looks like something off of Mississippi State or Ole Miss's campus. Very, very nice, and they've still got room for some others in there. It'll be like in college campus there once it happens. We've got a new Home 2 suites going in on the old Church of the Redeemer property. They've already started the site work there. The old Margaritaville down on the point continues to have work going on there. The bar building in downtown, the same theater in downtown. If you've noticed behind the White House Hotel, that new building is back there that adds another 55 units to their hotel number. IP parking lot, they're adding over 100 parking spaces there and paving those. The Phillips building, which is right across from the boat ravage, the building that has been 2 or 3 things. That's gonna be turned into a boutique hotel. They had stopped work for a while, but they started back again. They're putting the roof on that building. The beachfront wedding venue down here that's in that line of areas with Shaggy's. You probably noticed all the improvements that's going in on the outside of that building. That's what that's for. And actually, what they're gonna do is they're tying all of those businesses down there together. They're gonna make it like an entrance gate where you walk into it, you go this way to Shaggy's and this way to the wedding venue. And they're adding a lot of arcade type things to the inside of that. Next to the Ocean Club is 144 apartments. It's called the Current, that are getting very close to opening now. Cristiano Boardwalk, you know, a lot of people are concerned about the look of those, but it's a construction site right now. Let's wait and at least give them a chance to finish up the project before we prejudge it. We actually have some housing starting to go in Ward 1 in East Biloxi. There's some Maple Street condos going in there. We're working on the old brick house. We want to get that back up to where we're ready to get more regularly, so we've generated enough money to keep it maintained at the right level. That's going to be a multi-year project, but the roof is the first thing that we're going to fix on it. And we've actually approved a contractor to do that work. Let's see. We're in the middle of rewriting our tree, not rewriting, but revising our tree ordinance to make it a little bit more user-friendly for homeowners and residents, but also make it a little bit more stringent on developers so that homeowners don't have to go through lengthy hearings, you know, for approval. But on the commercial side, we're going to require more trees, depending on the diameter of the tree. This was one of the things that Dr. Tisdale had pushed for. You know, whether you, under our current ordinance, whether you take down a tree that's 1 foot in diameter or 4 feet in diameter, you only have to replace it with 2 trees. Well, what we're doing is we're revising the ordinance so that the wider that tree is in diameter, the more trees that the developer has to produce. We also get some consulting arborists right now. 75% of what we do in our department with the trees is just common sense. I mean, you know, a tree is dead, a tree is trimmed, something like that. But there are cases where we really need to have that expertise. So we have a consultant arborist that we call to go out and evaluate certain things that need specialized training. We don't have a historic administrator right now, so that's another one of those things that I'll have to absorb. That's pretty much it. We have a lot more going on for the sake of time. I'll stop. So, any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, because you had mentioned the Brook Captain Jack's used to be, now we're going to turn that into some kind of wedding venue of sorts.
Yes.
What about the Lucy's retirement club? Is that also going to be part of that?
It's not going to be part of the wedding venue, but you are going to see something happening with that. They haven't released it for us to talk about it, but you will see some improvements going from there, yes. Anything else? Yes, sir.
It's not Ward 5, but what about Broadwater? We've heard things off and on over the years. We gonna do something with Broadwater?
We probably had 6 projects over the years.
Yeah.
That have come to the Broadwater and actually gone through a big part of the review process. And what happens is we get close to the closing on it and something always pops up at the last minute that either delays it. You know, we'd already made the announcement about the music venue, didn't have any COVID deal. And so I think a lot of it has to do with interest rates. I know that that's what's happening with the theme park that we have been working on up in Ward 7. We've had a proposal presented to us. After they presented it to us and we made some agreement, the interest rates went up. And so we went back and revised it, came back to us, and then interest rates went up again. So he said, I can't make the numbers work on it. So that's kind of where we are with some of these projects.
So the improvement going on at the Fofo Marina, is that tied to a specific project, or is that just kind of a standalone grant?
That's not tied to the project, that's just some improvements that have been made out there. Anything else? Yes, sir.
The townhomes that are being built across the street from the Center Stage, are those rentals
I think right now they're gonna be rentals, but they did want to reserve the right to sell those. We've had so many discussions about these things where they start off, you know, we think we're gonna sell them, and then wait a minute, we think we're gonna rent them because of the market right now.
Do we know the price right now?
I don't, sir. I couldn't tell you, but I can give you the contact person for it if you'll stick around after the meeting. Yes, sir.
I know the property's currently listed, but is there any pending projects in the works for Bertucci's property? So,
Dr. Bertucci from County will call me with a new plan, but I can tell you that nothing has happened since that last plan that he presented.
yeah, it's listed, right? It's been listed for over 6 months now.
Yeah, and I did have somebody contact me about it being for sale and wanted to know what the zoning was, but all they did was ask questions. So we have nothing other than that old plan that he submitted. Thank you.
Nothing that a shot of whiskey didn't cure. John Miller's the police chief. He's at all these meetings, of course, most of you know when. And I was just so emotional to see it. It's called. I do want to point out that Coast is around the corner. I don't know if the plan has changed. I doubt it. Probably still following the same plan. But I want to point out that some neighborhoods we used to do neighborhood passes, we're no longer doing that. I'm talking to the police department. They make allowances if you live there. You've got to show them some documents or whatever to prove that you live there. But they're a lot more reasonable than they were in the past. John, it's so good to see you. Come on.
Sorry I choked you up like that. Appreciate being here. I'll try to answer your questions, any issues that you have. Before we do that, I was going to run through some statistics for Ward 5. Also, our Assistant Chief Chris Back is in the room back there. I want to introduce him. Smart guy. Smart Alex sometimes too. So June, July, and August, and this is on the table over there if you'd like to pick one up. 4,776 calls for service, and we can break that down a bunch of ways, but the highlights were the 184 alarm calls, which is pretty standard for 3 months. Disturbing the peace, it was 104. Domestic disturbance, it was 85. Suspicious circumstances, 183. There was 92 thefts and 78 trespasses. Those were the highlights, and there was certainly other crimes and needs that when people would call the police, whether it was criminal or not. But also, the important thing about getting one of these is this blue ink right here. And it tells you www.crimemap.com/map/Mississippi/Biloxi. If you just go to that website, you'll be able to see everything that's going on in your ward. It's going to be laid out really nice. And I've said this before, a lot of people don't go there, but take a few minutes and look it over, try to manipulate it a little bit, and you'll see that there's a lot of information there. You can even put in a grid around your own home and be able to see what's happening close to your house. So I recommend that you take a look at that. So I was going to talk about the events for just a minute. September the 13th, Tunnel to Towers, it's a 5K run. That will start in Biloxi and Margaritaville, go across Ocean Springs, and then come back. That same day, again, September 13th, the Biloxi Seafood Festival at the Town Green. So that's going to be one really busy day for the police department, the fire department. And then past that, the next big event is going to be Cruising the Coast. And we expect that to start a little earlier this year. Certainly by October 5th, the cruisers will be showing up, and we'll be ready to roll. It's always it's going to stay pretty fluid because you never know what you're going to see. You never know if they're occasionally the cruisers will show up a little late. I think this year they're probably going to show up earlier, and I think we're going to have a record here. I think we're going to have more cruisers than we've ever had before. And then the cones, the dreaded cones that everybody despises so bad. I myself despise them, but hey, It's the only way we can make it work. Those will probably go out around the 10th or the 11th. And don't forget about the block party downtown Biloxi on the 8th. That's always a lot of fun too. And, you know, those cones will stay out until we think we can pick them up. And I expect every year we see another little anomaly, and that's that people seem to stay later. So when huge events like Cruising the Coast end, a lot of people tend to stay in Biloxi for a few more days. So I'm sure it's good for the economy, but the events have grown to a point where they're sometimes difficult to deal with. But we found a way to do it. Incidentally, at the Coliseum this year, the motocross causes a lot of noise for a lot of people in that area. That has moved. So that won't be there this year. I think they moved that to Gulf, maybe. You won't have to deal with the noise from that this year. And then October the 19th, we have the half marathon. And that's from 7 o'clock till noon. That'll run from the Coliseum all the way to the east side of Biloxi. And that is truly a good event. And those people that put on that marathon, great event. People, they work diligently to help us as much as they can, and they do a good job. I've nothing bad to say about those guys at all. And then let's see, November 1st and 2nd this year, we'll have the air show. So we expect a lot of heavy traffic on Highway 90, and that'll run from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. both days. So if you're coming down to see the air show, try to get there early and plan on staying late, because traffic is going to be truly thick. We'll make it work. I'm sure the traffic is going to grow to a crawl. There's not much we can do about that. When you put 10 gallons in a 5-gallon bucket, you're going to get a mess. We're going to have some traffic. We're going to do our best just to keep it moving. It may move slow, but as long as it's moving, we're in good shape. So just keep that in mind. If you're not coming down to see the air show, please go another direction. And I think that's it for any time soon. So, and I'll take questions for any other problems or issues that anybody has. Yes, sir.
What's your staffing situation?
So currently we have 131 policemen currently right now.
Is that with the new class you just graduated?
That's with the new class we just graduated. So keep in mind that back in the 90s we did a huge hiring, and those people like myself are getting close to that retirement age. So we're losing those folks pretty regularly, and when you lose those folks, you lose a lot of experience also. But you do have fresh blood that's coming in. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you hiring policemen is an easy thing to do anymore, because it's not. People would rather be firemen than to be policemen. A lot less work, no firemen, they get to sit around. a lot more work with policemen. And quite frankly, with all the defunding the police stuff that we've seen a few years ago, you've got cops all throughout the United States. There's more cops killed now than there's ever been before. And so, a lot of families, they tend to push their kids another direction. And I don't blame them. My son's a policeman, and if things were like they are now, when he hired him, I certainly would have pushed him another direction. So we understand that. There was a time when you had, it was a tradition that policemen, their grandpa was a policeman, their daddy was a policeman, and they were policemen. Well, you don't really see that anymore. So it is difficult to hire. And something else that we found with hiring policemen, now young policemen, is that we kind of have to raise them a little bit now. In the old days, they came to us and they were fully functional people. But the young people today, they're more on their cell phones. Technology-wise, they're great, but it's hard to give somebody a personality. We've had to work on trying to give them a personality, and I think we've gained some ground there. So it seems to be. It seems to be picking up a little bit. And I think, again, sometime in the future, I think you'll see people getting back into this business. But right now, it's very difficult to find people to hire. I hope I answered your question. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What percentage of women are going into that business?
More than ever before. As a matter of fact, about 2 years ago, we did a hiring, and it was all women. We'd never seen that before. So they seem to pass the test a little better. Most of the time. The written test. But we've seen unbelievably this career has turned more towards welcoming women. And we have quite a few women officers now. And along with minorities, it was one time it was very difficult to hire minority officers, whether they be Asian or black or whatever, but that's kind of a thing of the past too. We're not having that problem anymore. We're just having a problem hiring people, period. They're just not coming forward. Yes, sir.
When are you gonna start hiring some robots?
I'm looking at it. We'll see what happens,
You put them in the police car.
Yeah, absolutely, man, they can function all hour, Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to give kudos to the Biloxi Police. I had the misfortune to be scammed tremendously back in June. And within an hour of the time that I called, well, within a few minutes of the time I called the police department, one of the policemen was there to assure me that they were going to do everything they could. Unfortunately, this person was evidently somewhere else. And that night or the next night, the investigator with the police department came to our house and sat down for almost 2 hours and talked with my daughter and I about the situation. He took the time to tell us everything that we needed to do in order to help the police see if they could catch this person. Unfortunately, they were not able to. A couple of weeks after that, I went on vacation for the first time in 10 years. And I received a call from 2 of my neighbors telling me on a Wednesday afternoon there were 5 police cars at my house. And there were policemen in my driveway talking, and my neighbor came home and he knew where I was, and he went over. His wife had had surgery, he was bringing her home from the hospital, but he took the time to go over and ask the policeman what was going on. And they told him they had gotten a health and welfare check on me that afternoon. And he told them where I was. I was in Pigeon Gorge with some friends. And they called me to tell me what was going on that night. I called the police department, and the lady was very nice to tell me that it was a mistake, that a home health service had called the police department because she had tried to get me on the phone, which was an error, and it was not true. But I appreciated the fact that the policemen, 5 different ones, were standing there in my driveway trying to, they couldn't get an answer at the door. So I just want to thank the police department for what they do for people in this situation.
Well, I would pass that on. Thank you very much. So I think a couple of questions. One, the officer came and stayed 2 hours. Did you serve lunch or dinner? 2 hours?
I hadn't had dinner since it happened, so I didn't have anything to offer, unfortunately.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and we do take those things very seriously. And I'm glad you brought up the scam, because the other night, I deal with these scams all the time, and I got one on the phone, and I'm telling you, he almost talked me into giving him something. I mean, he was good. He was really good. So, you just got to keep an open mind about that. When you're talking to somebody, and they start asking you for things that this guy, he had my credit card number and read it back to me and told me, "Is this your credit card number? We want to give you a loan." What he was trying to get was my code, my PIN code on there. And it sounded legitimate. So don't trust any of it. If they're going to do that, ask them to give you a number.
State Department in Washington D.C. is what he told me, and I believed him because he was so serious and he knew things about me. And I think I learned one thing from that. They read the papers, they go online. My husband passed away in November, and I seriously believe that's where he got the information from.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. And they have become really, really good at getting your information. And they can scam the best of us. So don't feel bad about it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Go ahead and take him first.
Yes, sir.
Just some of
good news, could have been bad news. Incident. Wife and I had gone over to AT&T Sunday night. Signed clearly, open, went inside, and the door was open, but there was no one there. We were concerned, maybe I checked, went in the back, and looked around in the bathrooms, thinking maybe someone was there, but heard. Didn't know. Went next door and talked to the businesses there, and they said, usually they're there, someone's there. At any rate, we called 911, just to report. Maybe something wrong or someone, problem somewhere, someone broken in, don't know what it is. Sure. And 2 police cars came, which was great, very quick. But they blocked us in.
Well, honestly, they probably did that intentionally, because they didn't know what they had.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and that's I guess the opportunity side of it.
Right. Where was the person? Did you find out?
No, and that's where I'm headed. Yeah, maybe I would feel better about it if they'd given us some feedback and said whoever was there didn't lock the door when they left, they turned the lights off when they left, or what happened. But it's just, and I know policing is very difficult. But I call those opportunities as you go forward to do more of what she experienced.
Sure, I heard it.
Yeah. So I just started sharing.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna check and find out what actually went on there. And I bet they just didn't, they probably didn't turn off their sign. They left the door on. We see that quite a bit, but nonetheless, it seems very suspicious. Thank you, sir.
John?
Yes, sir.
City official recently asked me why I'm mad all the time. I'm not mad all the time.
Was it me?
No.
But I wondered the same thing.
But if I have an issue, like with the city of D'Iberville, and I call Bobby Weaver, or I call Chief Griffin, or any council member over there, they're responsive, they return my calls, and they all follow through. All I have to do is make one call. They're like Morse Bark, one call, that's all. If I call any administration here in the city of Biloxi, multiple emails, multiple phone calls, 6 months turns into a year, 1 year turns into 4 years, and that's what really gets me irritated. Now, my current issue with you, you know what it is, the speeding on Sunkist Country Club.
Is that the current one?
Yeah.
You've usually got it covered.
Yeah. Now, it's getting out of hand. And you explained to me that the 15-mile-an-hour zone is non-enforceable because it's a recommended speed limit.
But it's not enforceable because it wasn't put up by the police department.
Well, I looked into it. Do you know that the city's not claiming responsibility? They're maintaining the lights. Coastal Electric's billing the city for those lights. Did you know that? Okay. I don't know what it takes, what it's going to take to stop it. In the last 4 years, there's been 2 life flights from accidents on Sunkist Country Club, 1 fatality in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. Now, we have residents there that ride their bikes, kids are on their scooters and they're on their bikes, and we got people doing Pops Ferry speed limit down Sunkist. Do you want your grandkids riding in that traffic?
Well, you know that I don't. But you also know that I'm going out there and written tickets, and you accused me a while back of not following through with the traffic study, which was already done.
No, I said I never saw the trailer. I never saw the trailer. I didn't know you had a covert camera. But anyway, if it takes getting a committee of residents, management from the country club, the HOA president, whatever. I've already talked to residents up and down that road. The stop sign has been suggested for the midway of that road to help solve that issue. But whatever it takes, something needs to be done before there's another fatality. I can't tell you how many times golf carts cross that road and don't even look.
Oh, I know. I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar with it.
And fortunately, they're putting in new putting greens across the street, and they've closed a majority of their crossings. They're only going to have 2 crossings now. Sure. And they're both in the 15-mile-an-hour zone. So if we need to get a traffic committee together to see how we can get that 15-mile-an-hour zone enforceable, if you ask me, the city's already responsible for it if they're maintaining the lights and they're getting billed for it.
Well, I will look into it again, and I'll have the traffic committee look into it, and if there's something that we can do legally there, we'll do it.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
If you need residents involved, the management from the country club, the HOA president,
We
whatever.
certainly wouldn't frown on any of that.
Okay.
We wouldn't frown on a petition, we wouldn't frown on any of that.
Well, I stop and talk to residents all the time up and down that road, and the majority of them all agree with me. Something needs to be done. And it shouldn't take 6 months, a year, or 4 years, like the last issue. Something needs to be done before there's another fatality.
We will certainly take a look at it again.
Okay, thank you,
See
sir.
what we can do. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hey, Randall, follow up on that. You know, I've had several conversations with you at that. And the chief's well aware, and I've spoke to the HOA president as well as those residents, and that stop sign is a viable option. It's just, the traffic committee meets once a month. So when we submit it to the traffic committee, once they meet, then they gotta go to it, and then they make the decision and we can do it. I've talked to those residents that are on the corners where the stop signs will be put, and they're all in agreement. So that is a viable option, and we stay on top of it, I assure you.
Well, I spoke to Ben Benoit this afternoon, and I told him what was going on. And he's in total compliance with my feelings on the issue. And if you want to speak to him about it, he'd be glad to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Also, Mr. Compton, the HOA president, he wants to get involved also.
Yes, I've been all throughout that at Ocean, and because it's gonna affect them with that stop sign, there's 3 entrances right there in Ocean. There's the first one, and it's gonna be in that main entrance, that middle entrance will slow down that traffic. And then it'll give him another reason to patrol, because we have the same issue on Ridge Drive, which Ridge Drive, Dr. Tisdale and I share. I have the east side, he has the west side. We had the same issue there with speeders up and down. Chief came out, he did his traffic study, he has officers out there maintaining the speed and has pulled people over for speeding and for running stop signs. You put a stop sign there, it gives him another reason to enforce people not stopping at the stop signs. His presence has been out there to the point to where I've called him and said, hey, look, cops out there again. He goes, Virginia, I can't ask my officers not to do their job. I said, I get it. Can you just have them sit in another driveway or something? Because the officers have been out there and they've been present. They've been enforcing the speed limit when they can. So the stop sign is a viable option, and I assure you that they're on top of it.
I mean, I've already seen speed bumps on WC4 Drive, you know. I'm not asking for speed bumps.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
But, I mean, we complained for years about speeding on Old Bay Road before they put up those 2 stop signs.
Same thing.
And now people are, I see Judge Patano down there.
He speaks.
No, he lives on Linwood. They use his road as a shortcut to bypass the stop signs. And he even had it lowered to 15 mile an hour. Well, they're still running down his street 30, 40 miles an hour to bypass the stop signs. I'm sure he can agree with me. We're just trying to cut off something. But I mean, I saw Bobby Mahoney cross the road the other day. He didn't even look. And all it takes is one person on their phone. They're dead.
I agree with you 100%. Thanks. Any other questions? Of a positive nature?
I think you're doing a great job, Chief.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I want to thank all these directors and administrators that appeared here tonight. When they could have been home, relaxing, and answering all the questions. And before, Ms. Kennebrew, if I could see you after this meeting just for a moment. Rick, if I could see you just for a moment. I do want to thank Dan Quays for attending. Dan, did you want to say anything?
No, if anyone has any questions for me, I'll be here after. So, but just real quick, the mental health side, that's on the county to take care of mental health. We are working on the diversion center, which is an addition to our CSU. So when EMS or the police pick up someone who is distraught, necessarily doesn't need to go to the ER to quad our ERs up, this will be a one-stop place for them to bring those patients to us at the diversion center. And there they will get treatment. We'll have 12 beds with the facility. So if they need overnight care, they will receive it there. So, the county does take mental health serious. So does our local delegation out of Jackson. And so that's something we're working on. We already have a building, remodel it now. If you have any questions, I'll be.
Thank you. I'll stick around for a few minutes as well. Let's get through and Rick, I guess, you can just a couple minutes. Thank you all. Real quick.
I brought this back and we would drive to the station to get our bill.